It certainly is, and really looking forward to this chat. This fella here, who we're about to be joined by, just such an ornament for our country, Brian, for what this bloke's been through and for what he continues to do. It's just baffling, really. Like this bloke, he's made famous for being a boxer, a two-time world champion boxer, but he's currently in the fight of his life. I'm talking about Billy Dib. Billy Dib, welcome to the run home.
How you doing, guys? How's things?
Oh, Billy, look, in comparison to what you're going through at the moment, things are fantastic, mate. And I'll tell you what, every time I see you on social media, I'm absolutely blown away with the positivity in which you're taking such a tricky situation for yourself. And that's probably a strange way to sum it up, but you're making it look that way. You're making it look, you're watering it down, if you like, with your positivity and how you're going about it. How are you going, Billy?
Look, I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there, And at the end of the day, I just feel like I feel that God's given me a platform, and it's a responsibility for me to shed light on people. Because if people out there are struggling with the same illness or another illness, and they see me in a bad way, then they think they got no hope, So for me, I choose to shed light on people, and I choose to smile on my social media platform just to show people that I'm doing okay. That's not to say that there's days that I don't cry and have tantrums and stuff like that. I'm only human, but most of the times I'm just, grateful and thankful to still be around.
So, Billy, what's the prognosis now? Are you still getting chemo? Are you in hospital, or are you back home?
At this stage right now, I'm back home, which is a total blessing, because that's really where the healing's done, When you speak about the healing process is at home with your loved ones, with my wife and my son, my mother and father, my siblings, my cousins, all that, So it's like the healing process is done there, but obviously, when I'm in the hospital, they're administering the chemotherapy and doing all that sort of stuff, but I just put a post on Instagram not long ago, just saying that I'm blessed to have gotten through 4 rounds of chemotherapy, which has been probably the most difficult thing that I've ever dealt with in my life. And at this stage, the doctors are saying that on March 6th, they're going to do a PET scan, and then that PET scan will either deem me cancer-free and in remission, or still got it and on to the next round. But I'm very hopeful and looking forward to some fantastic news from the doctors.
Yeah, I'll tell you what,
Fingers crossed,
Billy,
mate.
so many people thinking of you, and it's not just what you're doing for yourself, Billy, and your family. It's a lot of people would find themselves or loved ones in very, very similar positions. And no doubt many of these people have reached out to you for what you're bringing to the table and that, and being so positive, just showing yourself the resilience to try and beat this thing. Have you had many people reach out to you who find themselves or their loved ones in a similar predicament?
Oh, gosh, guys, I couldn't. That's the thing that baffles me. How many people in the world have cancer? To say that I've received over 200,000 or 300,000 messages from the time that I've been diagnosed would it be an understatement? And I could say that at least 3 or 4 thousand of those have been people who have reached out to me and said, "I'm currently going through cancer myself. Thank you so much for smiling through it because you give me hope." So, there's been so many people, and this young kid contacted me from England not long ago and said, "Look, I've got the same exact cancer, and can you advise me on what to do?" And I said to him, "Look, I'm not an advocate for cancer, and I'm not an advocate for chemotherapy, but I told him, I said, but what I will tell you is that, with faith, family, love, and a good support base, you can get through it. Be strong, have a good mindset, and you'll overcome this. So." As I said, guys, I'm definitely not an advocate for cancer and chemotherapy. If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, should I do chemotherapy?" I would never suggest that anybody do, because it's something that's so difficult. And to be quite honest with you guys, I've seen a few people die in hospital while I've been in there. So, I wouldn't advise anybody to do it. It's just I originally didn't want to do chemotherapy, but when your back's up against the wall and you got a young son who's 3 years of age, you got to take the gamble, and I needed to do that for my son.
Hey, Billy, this autobiography that's come out, True Heart, The Fight of My Life, was this something you'd always thought about? Like when you're in the peak of your powers, did you ever think, right, I'm going to write a book about my life? Or do you think when you got sick, that sort of was motivation to write the book?
Well, the truth is that from a young age, when I was like literally about 16 years old, Daniel Gill, who was also a champion of the world from Australia, he made the suggestion that I take notes throughout the course of my career, because he said, well, someday you'll write a book. So I took his advice, and then I sort of put, would write things down, and I'd always put it in the background. Never thought about writing a book. And then when Sarah passed away in 2015, I decided to put pen to paper, and and I started writing, and I'd write and I'd write, and I'd gone like hours of writing, and then this book started forming. And so this is a book that started in 2015, but I've been taking notes since I was maybe 15, 16 years old. And finally, I've got this amazing book that's come together. And it was supposed to go to print a long time ago. And then when I got sick with cancer, they called it back, and they were like, "Well, we need to write about this last chapter about you overcoming cancer." And I was like, "We're not there right now, but I've written about the journey about cancer, and the healing process, and the anxieties and the tantrums, and I've written about everything. I've revealed all, and I'm just really looking forward to getting a good response for the book."
Billy, can you tell us how it all sort of came to your knowledge that you had to tackle this beast? What happened, and was there something that people who are listening may need to keep an eye on, or how did that all come to your knowledge?
You know what? It was sheer accident. It was just sheer accident.
We just lost him. We'll get him straight back. But Brian, as I said, I've been following him on social media.
Yeah.
And just how, and he's been upfront and honest about, well, that's, on social media, I have been very positive about it all. But there are times, where you're having the tantrums and you're doing it tough. But you're back with us, Billy?
Yeah, I'm back, guys. I was just saying that it was just by sheer accident that I found it. It wasn't when I spoke to the hematologist, Dr. Sanjay, he asked me, his question was, "Mate, how did you find this? Like, how? What happened?" And I said to him, I was in the gym one day and I was sparring, and somebody hit me with a body shot, and it sort of hurt in a different way. I've taken body shots before, but like this body shot didn't wind me or anything, but it caused like a really sharp pain, like somebody was stabbing me in the stomach. And he said to me, the doctor said to me, "This is something that goes undetected for years." He goes, "It's a miracle that you found it."
Yeah.
So, it's just, I guess, me being in the gym and me getting hit in the stomach, God wanted me to find it, and I found it. And when they did a scan, they did a ultrasound, and I sort of guided the woman who was doing the ultrasound to where the pain was, and she located it, and then basically rang the hematologist, and he said, "Yeah, we need to put him through a scan." They put me through a scan, and he woke me up and said, "Listen, we need to do an endoscopy, so I need you to drink this liquid." I drank the liquid, and then the following morning he woke me up and said, "Listen, do you want the good news or the bad news?" And I said, "I'll take the good news first." And he goes to me, "The good news is we don't operate on Sundays." He goes, "But because you're calling from a friend, we're going to do it." And he goes, "But the bad news is we found cancer in your colon. So, we need to go in and we need to get it out quick." And they basically did that. And then 2 weeks later, I got really sick again. And then my wife contacted the hospital, and they said, "Look, we were hoping that we didn't have to see you till Monday," because I had an appointment on Monday, but this was Friday. The doctor said, "We've actually misdiagnosed your husband, and unfortunately he has non-Hodgkin's and Burkitt lymphoma cancer, and you got to rush him back to the hospital." So, it's been quite the journey. It hasn't been easy. It's been quite difficult. It's been a lot of ups and downs, but I'm just grateful to still be here. I'm still kicking, and I'm just grateful to be in my son's life.
Yeah, no, well said, Billy. Hey, Billy, how far does this book go back for you? Are we going like when you first started boxing? And tell us about how you got into it.
This goes all the way back to childhood. Basically, growing up in a household with 5 brothers and 1 sister. Living in Engadine, getting picked on, getting bullied at school, spat on. People painting on the fence saying, "Go home, you wogs." And boxing was something sort of that I found as well by accident. My father had this whole thing that, we're going to kill them with kindness, and we're always going to be kind to people, and eventually they're going to come around, you're going to win them over. And so we started doing a bit of after school sports, and Dad put us in rugby league. I wasn't such a good rugby league player, but one day the trainer pulled out some pads and some gloves, and I put them on and just had the knack. I'd watched loads of Rocky movies when I was a kid, and he suggested that I should go to the Sutherland PCYC, and I never looked back. I went there, and there was a trainer there by the name of Rusty Penton, and he agreed that the football coach had found something, and he believed in me, and I believed in myself, and the journey took off. So it was just an amazing run as an amateur. I had 113 amateur fights, had 98 wins and 15 losses. Got to represent Australia all over the world except for the Olympic Games. So I had an amazing journey, an amazing run, and then I translated that into the professional game.
Hey, Billy, my wife and a dear family member of ours, she's doing it really tough with cancer herself. And sometimes being a support person in all of this, is there any advice that you could give for those who have a cancer patient in their life? Like, obviously, everyone's wanting to do good for themselves and to help out. But on the other side of things, I can imagine it's quite daunting for the person who's going through it, who's already battling with the cancer, and then, the risk of having many, many people getting involved where ordinarily they wouldn't have been so involved. What sort of advice you'd give to people who have someone in their life currently going through cancer?
Well, for me, I come from a big family. I got 5 brothers and 1 sister. So, the support base for me was amazing. We used to have a roster when I was in hospital. And if I do go back to hospital, the roster picks up where it left off at. Basically, one of my siblings would come in and spend the whole day with me, and then my mum would come and stay with me at night. So I guess the best thing for me was the fact that I had such a good support base. And I would suggest to anybody who's got a family member out there who's dealing with cancer is that constantly check up on them, and be there for them, because that's the one thing that's helped me get through, the love and support from all the fans and my family and friends from all around the world has really got me through this, because, it gives you hope to not give up, because this cancer, you see, this thing with cancer is that, so much of it is mind strength, because, there was nights where I thought there's no way that I can make it out of this night. I'm going to die, because the cancer absolutely rips you of everything good and bad in your body. So basically, when the doctors gave me the chemo or told me about it, they said to me, look, we kill everything good and bad in your body, then we give you the medication to keep you alive, but really it's up to you to fight hard. And if you're not willing to fight hard, then it may be your demise, because this chemotherapy is no joke. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted. So if you do have a family member who's going through this, I suggest you remain close to them. Will them through it. You got to will them through it, and I've been willed through it myself.
Billy, our text board has just lit up with everyone just saying, we call them, if you've got to be a keeper, which means that he's one to keep hold of. Billy, you're just an absolute ornament to your family and yourself. But not only you're going through all this, you're mentoring kids through schools as well. Tell us a little bit, what are you doing there?
Yeah, so from a young age, as I said to you guys, I always felt that God gave me my platform, and it's a responsibility upon me to give back. And so by the way that I feel I can give back is by going to schools and mentoring kids and helping them through their difficult times, and even just taking a few kids under my wing and making sure they're okay, because there's so many kids out there who aren't okay. Their parents are divorced, they're going through a really, really tough time. And I just like to take it upon myself to try to help them and will them through and give them hope, and let them know that by setting goals in their life, I often tell kids that there's 3 things. It's all about having a vision. When you have that vision and you're consistent in that vision, the only thing that will follow is success. And so I always try to tell kids, like, set a goal, find out what it is that you want to do in your life, and be very consistent in your approach. If that means needing to study hard, or what that means training hard, or whatever it is that you're doing, work extremely hard, because at the end of it, you're only going to see success. So, I take a lot of pride in, in going to schools and really shedding light and telling people about my journey and letting them know that, I was told by teachers that I'd never make it, but I did. I made it. And if I can do it, you can do it. I'm no better than you. We got 2 legs, 2 arms. We both got 2 eyes. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. You just got to have that will to and desire to succeed.
Yeah, you've been an inspiration. You are an inspiration, Billy. There's no doubt about that. And the book is called A True Heart, The Fight for My Life by Billy Dib. Billy, we appreciate your time here on the Run Home with Joel and Fletch. but not just ourselves, our many, many listeners who are all getting behind you. They're cheering you on, mate, and they're saying that March 6 is going to be, a day that you're going to have a big win, they're saying. So, mate, we're all behind you and all the best.
Thank you all so much. And to anyone out there who wants to purchase the book, they can simply just go to billydib.com. So it's just BILLYDIB.com. And you can go to the link there and purchase the book. I mean, all your support is much appreciated. And I really hope that you guys can, take something out of the book, because there's so much in there. There's so many, as you say, nuggets in the book to help people through their life, just the way that I got through it. And I wish you all the very best.
Good on you, Billy. Best of luck, mate, for next week with the results, brother.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you guys. God bless.
And also, God bless the Dragons, because I think they might need a little bit of divine intervention as well.
No, good on you, Billy. As you mentioned, you can pre-purchase the book. It comes out on the 14th of March. And as Billy mentioned, to buy the book, go to billydib.com. Follow him on social media too, folks. He's a great follow as far as just an inspiration. Every single article, he just keeps fighting on with this. The book, well, A True Heart, The Fight for My Life. And just repeating, billydib.com. Pre-purchase the book. Comes out on the 14th of March. What an absolute star, Billy Dib.